Hello and welcome to A Review to a Kill, the James Bond retrospective podcast where we rewatch every Bond from Connery to Craig to review and rank each one. I'm your host, Special Agent Matthew Sedgwick, and returning for this debrief is an agent some say is the master of the scuba seagull.
Chris Carter, and fuck that seagull. That was a ridiculous prop.
Today we are reviewing Thunderball, the fourth film from Eon Productions. The film premiered on the 9th of December, 1965 at the Hibiya Theatre in Tokyo and opened on the 29th of December in 1965 in the UK. Produced by the Brock and Salt connection, Sean Connery again returns. This was a major success at the box office with record-breaking earnings. The film has earned $141.2 million worldwide against a $9 million budget and will remain the highest-grossing Bond film until Live and Let Die. After adjusting for inflation, it has made over $1 billion, making it the second most financially successful Bond film after Skyfall. So Bond was huge at this point. It was Bond Mania and Overdrive. They said there was the Beatles and Bond. This is also the first film to clock in over 2 hours.
This film, I recall, put diving on the map.
And then Jaws ruined it.
It did.
John Steers won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, and Ken Adam was also nominated for a Best Production Design BAFTA Award. So, okay, let's just rip this bandage off. We've said plenty of times that Ian Fleming practically whored himself and Bond around to anyone who would be interested in making it a film. In doing so, some false launches were attempted. Barry Nelson played an American, Jimmy Bond, in an adaptation of Casino Royale for the show Climax.
I never saw that, to be honest.
This was in 1954 with commercials. They were 2-hour episodes. They were practically a short movie. I actually watched this on YouTube yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah,
they have it on
it
YouTube.
It is an American Bond film made in the 50s, and it all takes place in one building.
What?
Yeah, it's as bad as you think. Oh, but Leiter, Felix Leiter is Clarence Leiter, and he's actually English.
Interesting. A total swap-a-roo,
Yeah.
huh?
Fleming would have Jack Whittingham pen a screenplay for a new adventure called Thunderball, based off of a story by the pair and one Kevin McClory. The script failed to drum interest, but Fleming took the story and wrote Thunderball as a Bond novel. This had him and the Thunderball story tied up in the high courts for some time. Thunderball was actually the film that they wanted to make first. That couldn't happen until a deal was struck with McClory, who said he came up with the bulk of the story. It did eventually settle out of court, and Kevin was given producer credit on this film, with the retention of rights to aspects of the story to make his own film at some point in the far-off future. If he cares to bother by then, but that's like 20 years from now. He'll probably forget or move on.
No, spoiler alert. He didn't forget. He didn't move on. Kevin McClory is a Bond bastard, in my opinion.
They wanted to make this film first. You guys did this with $9 million, and you were going to try and do it with less than $1 million? Good luck.
The magic and the lightning really worked out. Goldfinger was a huge success and granted funding to make Thunderball, which it had a lavish budget. There was a lot of equipment in this movie.
Also, today is my birthday.
Oh yes, by the way, happy birthday, Agent Sedgwick.
11 days after Bond's, according to his passport.
11 days after Bond.
Huh. The Oscars paid a 60-year tribute to Bond. They unveiled a headstone for Bond on the island they filmed his death scene at. And Amazon purchased MGM, mostly for Bond, let's admit, for $8.45 billion, twice as much as Star Wars.
That's pretty impressive. 60 years of Bond.
60 years.
60 years
which
of
we're
Bond.
still celebrating.
Bond's been around longer than I've been alive.
So he says. The lion fades and the orchestra stings. The dots come out and Sir Sean Connery comes out to do his own gun barrel sequence for the first time. The music is slower, droning, almost tired sounding. Connery doesn't hop, but does a spin into an odd stance that is so impractical you can see his back leg wobbling instead of bracing for the shot.
I think he was falling, or almost fell.
Almost fell. I'm surprised he hit anything, but apparently he did because the screen drips the darkest red we've seen so far. And the dot finally reveals the opening sequence, sneaking us a peek at a casket with the letters JB. Another Bond is dead fake-out that Broccoli oh so loved. So, all you No Time to Die haters saying Broccoli would never kill Bond, he actually seemed to have a fascination with it.
He really wanted to. He wanted to kill Bond, but Bond was his cash cow, so he couldn't just put him in a grave.
The fake is immediately revealed as we pan up from the casket to Bond with Madame La Barbie, a French Secret Service agent played by Maurice Guy Mizioco. She points out the monogrammed coincidence, and he responds, "Better him than me." The funeral is for Colonel Jacques Bouvard, who is the Spectre number 6. Bouvard is actually played by our best frenemy, Bob Simmons. Apparently Bouvard died in his sleep, but it's still closed casket. His bulky and hairy widow can be seen leaving and getting into a 1964 Lincoln Continental executive limousine.
Suicide doors. God damn, that's still such a sweet, sleek car.
Principal photography of the opening scene was done in Paris. Filming then moved to the Chateau d'Anay near Dreux, France, for the rest of the fight. Bond scurries off and meets the widow at her next location. Bond jumps up from the chair and punches the handsome woman immediately.
Oh, it's a man, baby!
My dear Colonel Bouvard, you shouldn't have opened that car door yourself. What the fuck, James?
That was the first, I guess, instance of, it's a man, baby, and only he could tell. Because by all accounts and all previous cuts and edits, it was a woman till James Bond punched him.
I mean, I get it, but holy shit, that was a leap. A woman doing things for herself? Strike her, she's a man.
Like I said, only he could tell.
So all jokes aside, the widow is Madame Boiter, played by Rosa Alba up until the fight. Then it's Bob in a dress and a wig thereafter. So Bob did not walk up those steps in high heels. That is one stunt he would not do.
Bob did not do anything but the fight scene in drag, I guess.
The fight starts. Bouvard hits Bond with a chair and throws a knife at him. Bond drops a curio cabinet under Bouvard and pulls off the wig. Bouvard throws more stuff at Bond. They use curtains and break tables. Bouvard beats Bond with a fire poker until Bond kicks him and chokes Bouvard with the fire poker and snaps his neck. Guards give chase across rooftops, but Bond has an ace waiting. He has a rocket stashed on a roof and straps in, taking off as the guards fire upon him. The Bell Textron rocket sequence makes use of a combination of rear projection effects featuring Sean Connery and an actual 20-second flight by pilot Bill Suter. Initially, to appear more debonair, 007 was to fly the jetpack without a helmet. However, the pilot refused to make the flight without one for safety reasons. He lands and stows the jetpack. Bond and La Barbie jump into the DB-5 as the pursuers run up firing. We see the bulletproof plate return and remind us this is the same car. It's even been worn and damaged. Bond drenches the guards with water jets from the rear of the car. John Steers rigged fire hoses to the DB-5 to douse the men with water on a day that was well below freezing. The camera also gets hosed, and that's our watery transition into the title sequence.
It is an improvement to Bob Simmons' previous work, because I didn't immediately assume it was Bob Simmons. Not immediately. I kind of thought it might be, but...
Can we be honest for a moment about that fight? Bob did good. He watched Goldfinger and took notes. Weapons work. Grapples, not so much. Distance adds tension. They try to keep out of reach, throwing things at each other and trying to get weapons. It ended up coming off as the most real-feeling fight I've seen Bob Simmons coordinate. So,
yeah,
at least for that, good on you, Bob.
Good on you, Bob. They could have tried harder.
It's no train fight from Russia with Love, but it's the best I've seen him do.
When Bond slid the chair over at Mach 2.4.
Blame Peter Hunt for that shit.
Okay, I'll blame Peter Hunt for that. But Peter Hunt worked within the constraints of the choreography, so I'll only blame Peter Hunt so far.
No, that's Peter Hunt believing that speeding shit up hella fixes everything in choreography. Out of his own mouth.
I like the way he tossed the flowers on him after he killed him. You're a cold-hearted son of a bitch, but still enough of a gentleman to leave a man flowers on his death. Cheeky. That was a one-liner.
It was cheeky,
it was a one-liner without saying anything.
Indeed, it was a visual one-liner.
That's right, a visual one-liner.
Water-themed opening credits including wavy titles. This is it, though. This is the fully realized Bond title sequence. Thematic backgrounds, silhouetted girls, no projectors, no dots. Funny name this time, Rick Van Nutter. Funny lyric, she strikes da-da-da-da-da like Thunderball.
I don't know what that meant. And
that's fair. No one else did.
What's his name? Rick Van what?
Rick Van Nutter.
Rick Van...
He plays Felix.
Is that the guy who plays Felix?
That's the guy.
Oh. We'll talk about Felix here in a little while, too.
Nutter.
But he sounded like Tom Jones. I didn't mind this title sequence at all. It was what I grew up used to as a Bond title sequence. Thunderball was okay, though. It wasn't a horrible song. It did a good job. Like I said, he sounded like Tom Jones.
It was Tom Jones.
It was Tom Jones?
That is Tom Jones. So Ken Adam gets the treatment this time with a full frontal, fully nude woman that they barely shaded. The opening was nude women swimming, filmed in black and white, and treated to add color later. Now, the word Thunderball is a military term used by U.S. soldiers to describe the mushroom cloud seen during the testing of atomic bombs. But when Tom Jones asked the songwriter what the line, "She strikes like Thunderball" means, he was told, "I don't know." So you at least know where the title of this movie comes from, but we still don't know what her striking like it means.
Did she strike like a nuclear bomb?
The head of the mushroom cloud, just the tip. Ted Moore is back as director of photography. Peter Hunt now supervising editor. Everyone got a team, by the way. John Steers and Bob Simmons also back, obviously.
Of course everybody got a team. The budget quadrupled.
It tripled.
Tripled.
They reached out to Rico Browning from Ivan Tours Studios in Miami, who was doing things like Flipper and shit like that, to direct the underwater shots. They choreographed these underwater sequences, which, when you think about it, is an amazing accomplishment, especially considering the limitations of the time that left them to using hand signals to communicate.
Man, the man they hired to do and choreograph most of the underwater work, fucking genius.
Ken Adam designed the fantastic submersibles for the underwater sequences, with 25% of screen time taking place underwater. He was going to go crazy on designing these, not even thinking they'd really be able to be made. So they found this guy named Jordan Klein in Miami, who was able to make functional versions of Adam's designs. And it not only brought this movie to life, but really opened up films in the future. As Ken Adam says, it made him confident in design, that he could design anything, and someone, somewhere, would realize it. Although it does bear mentioning that due to the short shoot schedule to get this out by Christmas, Jordan Klein and company had to sleep in shifts to get it done in time. Ken Adams did some amazing underwater sets.
You know, underwater was all the rage at the time.
Norman Wanstall returns, filmed for the first time in Panavision and again with Technicolor. Titles by the Dr. No OG Maurice Binder. Out with Robert Brownjohn. Get the guy with more skill to refine the technique of the guy with no skill, but all the ideas. I like it. Music by John Barry and song Thunderball performed by Tom motherfucking Jones. This is Carlton's favorite Bond song.
It's not unusual.
It's not unusual for you to give me a Bond song. Screenplay by returning Richard Maybaum and his yet another new partner, John Hopkins. Based on an original screenplay by Jack Whittingham that was based on the original story by Fleming, Whittingham, and that Chode McClory. Produced by some vain dick who has to have a credit on par with Young's, and directed by Terrence Young, his third and last film. Guy Hamilton was tired after Goldfinger, but will return. He said he didn't feel like he had anything to add to the character or story at that time. He just needed to recharge his brain, I guess.
Right.
Transition on Paris. Emilio Largo, played by Adolfo Celi, our new Spectre number 2, arrives in a 1965 Ford Thunderbird and attends an underground summit of Spectre operatives, with the mysterious pussy-stroking number 1, again played by Anthony Dawson, and again voiced by Eric Pullman. I would like to point out that Largo, though played by Adolfo Celi, is dubbed by Robert Rady.
Really? He's dubbed as well, huh? They did a fair...
Who isn't in these early Bond
Right,
movies?
I was about to say they did a fair amount of dubbing. It's like, let's get a European to play the role, but let's not get a European to
I'm
voice
amazed
it.
they didn't dub Sean Connery.
I'm amazed.
His
they
accent's so thick.
It's not horrible, but it was pretty thick.
It actually got worse with age. It
Yeah,
wasn't even
that's
that
weird.
bad.
It wasn't that bad in the beginning. It got
Yeah.
a lot thicker the older he got. You're not wrong about
He got
that.
lazy. Largo goes through a shady fake bank and uses a device to enter a secret room. A huge, gorgeous Ken Adam job. Dark grays contrast against bright lights, and sharp lines draw the eyes down the long room and table.
It is an impressive conference room.
Andre Moran, Michael Smith, Cecil Chang, Philip Stone, Victor Beaumont, and Gabor Baraker play the filler Spectre numbers here. But more importantly, when number 11, played by Murray Cash, is accused of embezzling funds, Blofeld vows to expedite the proper punishment before proceeding to electrocute number 9, played by Clive Cazes, who'd actually embezzled and planted fake evidence implicating his colleague.
Which was kind of amazing. Number 9 never said a word. He just sat there with that smug smile on his face until Blofeld fucking hit him with the electric chair auto body disposal unit. Fucking so...
Patent pending.
Patent pending.
Largo now steps forward to outline the criminal enterprise's most audacious plan yet. A plan to ransom 2 nuclear warheads for £100 million from the NATO powers. He continues to exposit his plan as we transition to the spa holding the man he's talking about.
Calculate £100 million into dollars, and that's what's like $280 million, because that's about what £100 million in 1965 comes out to be, is about $280 million. So... That's
a lot.
That's not a fair. That's not. Yeah, £100 million is a chunk of change.
The spa he was talking about is a plot-convenient clinic where James Bond has also been sent by M to improve his health. While being massaged by physiotherapist Patricia Fearing, portrayed here by Molly Peters, he meets Count Lippy, played by Guy Dolman, who has a red dragon tattoo that Bond seems to recognize, in a bad way. I want to point out that Molly Peters was dubbed by staple Bond ADR Barbara Jefford, the voice of Tanya Romanov, among others.
I thought I recognized her voice, but I couldn't place her face. That's weird.
The masseuse points out a bruise he says was from a widow with a poker. She says she thought widows would be just his type, and he says, "Yeah, but he didn't like me."
That one was a decent one-liner. It was all right. Yeah, but he didn't like me. And, like, the look on her face was like, what the fuck did you just say?
It was funny for the shock on her face.
Mm-hmm.
He calls Moneypenny, asking about the tattoo. She says, "You're off duty. File it." He says, "Next time I see you, I'll put you over my knee." She responds to this, laughing, "A yogurt and lemon juice? I can hardly wait."
A yogurt
What?
and lemon juice. I don't know. That's
am I missing?
It might be a British thing that we don't understand.
It might be an old person thing.
Well, it might be an old British thing. A yogurt.
Can
and
someone
lemon
dig
juice.
up Jack LaLange and ask him about this shit?
Thought he lived forever. Sorry.
Dude, that's fair. Death came for Jack LaLange and got beat up. Lippy gets into his 1957 Ford Fairlane 500 Skyliner with an as of yet unknown to us, and you probably never even noticed her in the scene before anyways, Fiona Volpe, played by Luciana Paluzzi. Bond takes the opportunity to search Lippy's room, but is almost caught by Lippy's clinic neighbor who is bandaged after plastic surgery. So, Bond leaves with nothing, and 90s Chevy Chase still catches him leaving. Maybe if he didn't stop for 5 seconds to steal a grape, he could have actually made it out while the mummy was still on the phone.
Right? What was that about? He's like, oh my god, those grapes look delicious. I've got to stop.
Dude, what was that?
I don't understand why he had to stop. Those grapes look
fake as fuck. He might have gotten away
fuck.
if he didn't do that.
He might have gotten away if he didn't stop.
Lippy is actually named after a real-life friend of Fleming, and when he was put into the book,
oh, nice.
he was very happy for the shout-out.
Yes.
Bond goes back to his physiotherapist, Fearing, and as she's checking him, he suddenly drops his arms around her tight and holds her in a forced kiss for 5 seconds that she never stops trying to get out of.
Rape.
She doesn't say screw it and join in, and after she gets away, she screams, "Behave yourself," and restrains him on a motorized stretching table.
Oh my god, rapity, rape.
There's no excuse for that.
It wasn't straight rape, but it was definitely sexual assault.
That was sexual assault, yeah. Lippy tries to murder Bond with the spinal traction machine by cranking the machine to 11, but Bond is saved in the nick of time by Fearing. And did it look like Connery was just humping the table to you?
It did look like Connery was humping the table to me, and then I was wondering what kind of device, I don't care what it does, if it's a therapeutic device or not, kills a person by setting it to the highest setting. Like, I'm going to turn this all the way up, and it's going to kill you. That makes no sense. Why would you do that?
Because Bond.
Because Bond.
It'll happen again. Get over it.
Yeah. I suppose I'll have to.
Fearing fears losing her job, and Bond says, "Fuck me and I won't tell." That is sexual extortion and is illegal. That is it. Connery's Bond is now legally a rapist without defense.
Yeah, oh yeah. First he sexually assaults her, and then he coerces her into having sex with him to keep her job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did those things. Back to back. Boom. Within hours.
Leaving her, Bond actually says, "See you later, alligator." Bond finds Lippy chillaxing, eyes closed, in a steam unit, and using a broom handle, he cranks it to 11 and locks him in.
Now, that might be a little more dangerous, but still,
Yeah,
shouldn't
at
be
least he's
fatal.
not humping it.
Right.
Afterward, he's back in bed with Fearing again, rubbing her down with a furry glove. Mink. It reduces the tensions, he says. Not mine, she replies, restless. She still seems concerned with her sexual extortion. She's disgusted with herself. Also, it feels as if this was meant to be edited in before the steam unit ambush, but hey, maybe James is really just that horny.
I'm willing to bet James is just that horny. It made me question his motives, this movie.
Outside, a 1962 Ford Zephyr 4 pulls into the building. A man in a payphone immediately dials. Cut to cleavage hanging over a bed and answering the phone. Major Francois Derval, played by Paul Stasino, is a French NATO pilot and relaxing with his beautiful redhead secretary, Fiona Volpe, played, as I said before, by Luciana Paluzzi.
She's very, very attractive. I'll give her that.
Honestly, yeah. The caller asks to speak to Mr. Angelo, and she says, sorry, wrong number. Then the phone rings again. Derval receives a call to report for a training sortie aboard an Avro Vulcan stealth bomber. When he answers the door, expecting his driver, he is shocked and shot by a man that looks just like him. This is Angelo Palazzi, also played by Stasino, a Spectre henchman surgically altered to match Derval's appearance. Fiona is also a Spectre agent, responsible for replacing Derval with Angelo.
That was a brilliant plan. I mean, the face swap thing. I just got real Mission Impossible vibes from it.
One thing I do want to say that I thought was really cool, though, about that was they did their compositing for the guy outside.
Yes.
They just pasted him in there.
Yeah.
But the guy outside was shooting a mist inside, and they still did it to where they had that smoke coming
inside,
in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So pretty good practical effects to help blend that.
Mm-hmm.
She gives him a Spectre care package, documents, cash, etc., and a few of Derval's personal effects. Then, Angelo straight extorts Spectre for more money. He tells Fiona that they won't be able to find anyone else to impersonate Derval after the plastic surgery, voice lessons, and other training that Angelo has gone through for the past 2 years. And Lippy wants to straight shoot his ass. But Fiona agrees and sends him out.
Yeah, and the moment she did, I knew he was a dead man. Because you don't extort Spectre. Like, you're going to do the job, and they're just going to kill you after. You're done.
You're fucked. You're so fucked. As soon as he did that shit, I was like, you are so dead. It's either now or later.
Right. Now or later. And they would much rather you do the job, so it'll probably be right after that.
It's like, do you want to say, fuck you, you dig the grave, or do you want to live long enough that you'll dig your own grave? Because that's literally what he's in.
Right, exactly.
Fake Derval is briefed that he'll fly with 2 British nuclear bombs aboard. They take off, and we cut back to Bond, who spotted a 1964 Mercedes-Benz 190 ambulance pulling up next to the spa and men acting all sus.
Well, what was really sus is that they were pulling a body that was covered out of the ambulance. That was the sus part, though.
Pulling a body out of the ambulance and into the spa instead of the other way around. Bond finds Derval's corpse and is almost shot for it. Only isn't because the guy didn't want to, I guess. Even when Bond was tying some window ninja up with the phone cord, this assassin hiding, puts the suppressor on his pistol and says, nah, I'm cool. I'm just going to hide and sweat profusely.
Yeah, I don't understand why he didn't jump out and just shoot. Maybe he was anticipating taking the shot when the other guy broke in, but it didn't work. And I couldn't understand why Bond just loosely tied a phone around that guy's neck. Like,
he wasn't scared. Oh, that was funny.
It wasn't going to choke him or...
But like when Bond was attacking the window ninja, it was like, there's your chance.
That was absolutely the perfect chance. I thought that's what he was waiting for when I first saw that.
Right?
Yeah. I was like, oh, he's waiting for that.
He was just like, no, he was just shitting himself.
Never going to take that shot.
I thought I was going to put the suppressor on, but then I shit myself and said, nope. I saw what happened to the window ninja.
I saw what happened to the window ninja. He got a phone wrapped
Steve's
around
our best man.
Steve's on hold. No, I'm sorry.
Cut back to the jets. Fake Derval gets to the controls and gasses the rest of the crew. He then takes the plane in, steep and fast, to below radar level, sending NATO in a scramble.
This was a sweet-ass jet.
He flies over a yacht, and we see that number 2 guy from the beginning again. They're waiting on this plane.
Sweet-ass, state-of-the-art NATO or British bomber. I forget what it's called. But I
It's an
marvel at
Avro-Vulcan.
all of these James Bond movies using straight practical
Real
equipment.
tech.
Not just real, but cutting edge at the time tech. It's not like there was like just anything out there. They were dealing with good top of the line shit. It was great.
Well, they had a lot of military fans that would give them insights and things like that and tours, and then they'd even be sneaky and take photos, as we've discovered before. But their Vulcan bomber that they filmed with, they actually built out of fiberglass based off of all the plans and stuff. And they eventually ended up blowing it up so it wouldn't be used by anyone else for filming because they had to leave it where they sank it. The plane magically hits the water and doesn't disintegrate, but instead slowly sinks to the shallow bottom of the seas off the Bahamas. Largo and his men don wetsuits and depart the yacht known as the Disco Volante, or Flying Saucer, and then swims over and kills fake Derval for trying to extort more money from fucking Spectre. Extortion is their last letter.
I thought that dude was just gonna give him a thumbs up and just leave him there, because he would have just died when his oxygen went out. But then the dude gave him a thumbs up and then cut his air hose. I was like, oh, that's cold-blooded. Yeah, I got a knife. I'm gonna cut you free.
It would have been colder to leave him there with his oxygen supply, contemplating how fucked he was, but at the same time, that would have been giving him a chance to escape.
Yeah, that might have given him a chance to escape. So cutting the air supply was definitely the bigger fuck you from Spectre.
The way to go, yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, he wanted to see it in his eyes that he was the one doing it, because it was Largo. It was the eye patch under that goggle. After cutting Derval's cord, Largo and his henchmen retrieve the stolen atomic bombs from the seabed and the fuses to activate them. The bombs have handle-like eggs written on them. The subs have grooves perfectly form-fit for the bombs. Peter Lamont and Ken Adam were invited to Bomber Command, as I was alluding to before, to ask questions because at the time, no one knew what a nuclear bomb looked like, and they snapped hidden cam shots of the warheads to make these designs off of. So this was real espionage being done to make this film.
No, of course. You're making a spy movie. Might as well do spy shit.
They camouflaged the jet with seaweed netting. That seems ingenious until you realize it would do absolutely shit to stop sonar from scanning the object, which is probably how they would be searching for it.
Right.
In real life. We got a radar hit? Damn, that's a lot of seaweed. Largo gets back aboard the Disco Volante and says, "Get these fuses to Mr. Coots." The nuclear physicist, Mr. Coots, is the guy they have on payroll to activate these bombs. Ladislav Coots is played here by George Pravda, who played a German sergeant in a 1958 film called No Time to Die. No relation.
That's interesting. Coincidence.
I thought so too. I wrote it down. Sorry, I was such a dick. Largo reports all go so far, and Blofeld says, "Good boy" to Largo, before saying Lippy was a bad boy, and his choice of Angelo for fake Derval almost cost them the mission. So put the word out on the Warriors, and also Count Lippy.
Yeah. Put the word out on Count Lippy. His name makes me laugh.
It does. Yeah, it really does. Transition back to the spa, and Bond is hightailing it to his DB5 with his suitcase. Fearing asks him what he does for a living, and he says a travel shooter, as he sees them bringing out the body of Derval. He takes off with Lippy following in his Fairlane. Lippy catches up and opens fire with a revolver. Bond pops his weapon switch's cover, but a 1965 BSA Lightning A65L comes speeding up like mad from behind. This motorcycle has missile tubes attached and fires at Lippy.
It's the RPG, the rocket cycle. Oh, it's fucking dope shit.
Yeah, Spectre's got gadgets too. They have their own Q. It's
right.
a negative Q.
Negative Q. Anti-Q.
We call him Pi. The rear of the car explodes and the car swerves before being hyper-edited into a ditch, Peter.
Right.
Bob Simmons drove the car that blew up during the motorcycle chase. The door was removed and he was hanging half out of the frame. At the last second, as the car hits the ditch, he dove out. No one saw him bail, and they all run up to the burning car, all, "Where's Bob? Where's Bob?" when he pulls an Indiana Jones coming from behind him going, "How's that, Golf?"
Good on you, Bob. Good on you.
He was crawling out of the flames, though. It was so close because this American documentary team caught it from a different angle, and he was literally like, his legs were on fire. He's like, "Oh, shit, I'm out of here."
Well, I guess he timed it just right because that was a great scene.
The car explodes again, and we cut to the motorcycle being ditched in a pond. The assassin takes off her helmet, revealing it was Fiona Volpe. Gasp.
Yeah. Right, but then she's taking out Lippy as he's trying to take out Bond, so...
They don't have orders to take out Bond yet. All she knows is she was told to take out Lippy.
I would think that James Bond would have standing orders to be eliminated. They have to know who... Like, everybody at Spectre knows who he is.
They don't care. That's not how it works.
I know.
They're not bothered until they have to be regulated by the plot.
Yes. Unfortunately, plot armor is a thing for James Bond.
And it's very thick in England. Just like the fog.
Yes.
Hard cut to Bond entering Moneypenny's office, cap in hand, cocked and ready to toss. But what's this? They moved the hat rack right next to the door?
Yeah.
Bastards!
No throwing the hat across the room anymore? Why?
I bet Dad did this.
I bet Dad did that. That looks like a Dad thing.
You are late, Moneypenny says. Yeah, some people on the road really burn you up these days.
Ha ha.
Yeah, that one was lame, right?
Yeah, that wasn't a...
He goes toward M's office, but Moneypenny informs him that it's in the conference room with every 00 in Europe and the Home Secretary.
I just like his whole disregard for protocol. Like, he's just going to walk into M's office like, whatever, I'm here on my time. I've been summoned. Like, his whole demeanor is so blasé. It's like, this dude is professional agent?
What do you expect from our boy at this point?
Yeah.
I feel like every episode he gets more comfortable at doing this shit.
Very much so.
Bond looks annoyed leaving, as he says somebody's probably lost their dog, rolling his eyes.
She gave him vital information. Every 00 agent is already here. That's obviously...
And the Home Secretary.
And the Home Secretary. That's obviously something is very important going on right now. And his tip, like, somebody lost a dog. Nothing, whatever. He rolls his eyes. One
of the corgis is missing. The Queen is pissed. The conference room at Whitehall reminds me of From Russia with Love, honestly. Huge, beautiful, ornate, and bloody empty.
This was the most opulent conference and oddly shaped conference room I've ever seen.
It is Whitehall. I would put money on Sid Kane having done this set if I didn't already know that he doesn't come back until On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
You gotta shout.
Oh, no, you probably don't.
Yeah, you probably don't.
I bet you the acoustics are great in that place.
I know, it's big and empty and hollow.
Dad scolds Bond for being late. Then they play a tape from Blofeld. Spectre has 2 big bombs and gives 7 days for NATO to pay £100 million in exchange for returning the bombs. If their demands are not met, Spectre will destroy a major city in the United States or England.
Their choice. They weren't very specific.
They also say, hey, we want this much money, and we'll tell you later how we want that to be paid.
Yeah.
Not when and where, but also how.
Right, how.
And they will, and we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Opening their For Your Eyes Only dossiers, Bond recognizes Derval from a photograph in the file and notes Derval's sister, Domino, is in Nassau. So we wipe to M's office, and Bond is assigned to the middle of nowhere. Bond asks M to send him to Nassau, and M shows a new confidence in Bond after 3 missions. He says, yep, cool, I trust the shit out of your gut. Go now, or you're wasting my time trying to convince me here.
And see, this is a point where I really begin to doubt Bond's motivations. I'm just going to go to Nassau, talk to this dead dude's sister, and see if I can get some. It probably won't lead anywhere. I want to think he was like, I got the hot clue, but then I'm thinking James Bond was like, ass.
From Russia with Love, this was all it. This was totally him in the younger movies. It's not him here. You can tell, like, he's just locked. It's totally different. I want it to be the funnier one. I loved it in From Russia with Love like that. It was our first short, but I didn't get that.
No, I didn't get that. I just want to say I doubted his motivations for a minute.
Back in Moneypenny's office, Moneypenny ribs Bond about the girl in the photo. Moneypenny even says, you may be able to fool the old man, but not me. And M, who had walked in, says, I'm sharp too, lady, and don't call me old. And Bond cuts the awkwardness by saying, didn't I have a hat when I came in? As the hat rack is now empty, and he uses this chance to leave swiftly.
Dad, again, ruining another beautiful moment.
Just some light-natured, flirtatious ribbing and coworker banter sprinkled throughout up until now. No real concrete pickup line here.
No real flirting, and if there was going to be any, Dad really cut it short.
Ruined it. But what did happen to that hat?
Yes, what did happen to his hat? He did have a hat.
He did have a hat, and it is not there. I think Connery was honestly calling the continuity girl on the hat not being there when they were filming that bit on him leaving the office, and he made that joke, and they just left it in. I definitely believe that.
That's something Sean Connery would do, absolutely.
Fade to some coral and sea life, with a girl making a turtle carry her lazy ass. This is Domino, played by Claudine Auger, and dubbed by the other female Bond prolific dubber, Nikki Vandersill, which is why Domino sounds exactly fucking like Honey Rider.
Yeah. Yep. Again, familiar voice.
It's not just the same actress, it's the same voice that she used for that character. Bond sneaks up on her, but honestly, it's good that he magically knew where she was, cause right then, her leg gets stuck in a clam.
Creepy underwater stalking is what that was.
Surfacing, he admits he's been admiring her form.
Mm-hmm.
Have you now? Stalker alert!
Right?
Then he tells her she swims like a man.
Yes, you swim like a man. Chauvinist much? You're like, what the fuck does that mean? Women are good swimmers? You don't splash around like other women. That's what he said.
You don't splash around like other dames.
Yes.
With such wonderful pickup lines as that, it's a wonder she blows him off.
Well, it might have been something to do with the other hot chick in his boat, like 40 yards away.
Bond swims back to his boat where Paula, played by Martine Beswick, is waiting. Now, Martine Beswick also played a gypsy girl in From Russia with Love. Paula pretends the boat won't start, so Domino offers to give Bond a lift back to shore, and he suggests the two have lunch together.
Well, what happened to his urgent meeting? That's the premise he used to get the ride back.
Walking off onto the beach, a man follows Bond, while another man follows that guy. Having lunch by a pool, Bond finds out that the man following him is following Domino for her guardian. The Disco Volante pulls into the harbor, and Domino rushes off. Bond says, "What about dinner?" And she says no. And he says, "My dear little Domino, how uncooperative you are." And she's taken aback by him knowing her name. But he lucks out, as it's on her anklet. "What sharp little eyes you've got," she says. "Wait till you get to my teeth."
That was a good one. 'Cause I'm the big bad wolf.
I mean, honestly, after the rape scene in the beginning of this movie, I believe it.
Right? I mean, that's where it's shaping up.
He is a predator. He's not wrong. And he's literally admitting it.
Right.
Transition to a night party on the docks, and Bond shows up dressed to the nines. He walks into the casino and finds Domino with Largo as he plays Baccarat. Bond cuts into the game and makes a remark about the specter of defeat at Largo's shoulder.
Bond is a ballsy motherfucker.
He gives no fucks.
He gives zero fucks. I'm James Bond. I'm a super spy. I know who you are.
And I'm gonna fuck your wife.
You know who I am. I'm gonna fuck your girl.
I'm gonna kill you.
And kill
I'm gonna stomp you.
Right.
This is my hotel room, by the way. I'm gonna leave it unlocked. I'll see y'all in the bathroom later.
Right? I'll see y'all in the bathroom later. That's typical, yeah.
Largo invites him to raise the stakes so high it makes it a personal game. And then Bond introduces himself. And as Spectre number 2 now, he knows that this is the guy killing all his operatives and fucking up their plans.
Well, yeah, he just told him.
It's kind of like what you were saying earlier. It's just like, how is there not a standing order to kill this fucker?
Right. He likes to, he's arrogant about it. You know, it's not like he's just out there doing it in secret. Nobody knows which spy is doing it. There was one of those 00 agents is fucking our shit up. No, it's James Bond. He's fucking our shit up all the time.
Bond beats him a bit, then offers to buy his woman a drink, and Largo actually lets him. Largo stays to gamble while Bond runs off with Domino, and I'm not sure where Largo's priorities are.
Yeah, she's a kept woman, which basically means he does whatever, and then she can do whatever while he's doing other things.
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, it's kind of weird, the motivation on Largo and Domino in this, because at times he's incredibly paranoid and possessive.
Well, yeah.
And then at times he's like, yeah, go buy her a drink and dance with her. I got money to win here. Bond and Domino have dinner to get to know each other. He learns she's his kept woman, and he's very possessive and paranoid about her. ergo the surveillance. But then why is he happy to let her go and drink with other men? Domino doesn't want to talk about him anymore and wants to dance. So Bond lazily dances with her but keeps asking her about Largo and her brother. Par for the course.
Par for the course.
Largo returns and invites him to lunch. You may be noticing by now, from the iconic swimsuit to this outfit, that Domino only wears black and white.
Yeah, always. Dressed like a zebra.
Like a domino.
Black and white. Yeah.
Bond returns to the hotel, and the desk lady stares in thirst. Again.
Yeah. That bitch was thirsty.
Yeah. He omnipotently knows to go through the connecting door from Paula's room to enter his, and notices someone is also inside. There's a recorder in a book, and as he plays the sound of an intruder, the camera brilliantly follows the ghost of the past, perfectly retracing the intruder's path in sync with the audio.
I want to just say that the Foley work for this whole film was pretty fucking good. They actually spent a little money on Foley work, and they did an awesome job.
Foley work was really good in the last film.
It was.
Actually.
I should give a shout out to the Foley work in Goldfinger, but yeah.
Foley works is really good here too, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Well, they had their work cut out for them with this film, I guess, so you definitely notice it more.
Underwater punches? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's fair. Bond suppresses his pistol and moves toward the bathroom when the door knocks. "Hello, double. Oh," he says as he's punched in the gut, and Bond says, "Shh." This is Felix Leiter, played this time by Rick Van Nutter, the winner of our funny name in the title award.
I'm beginning to think Felix is a shapeshifter.
He's a Skrull.
That's why he works for the CIA, because he can assume any identity.
It's okay. Maybe Felix will be Samuel L. Jackson in the next movie.
He totally de-aged in this one.
Yeah, he de-aged.
And he's looking a lot better.
And with all your complaints about elderly Felix, I thought you would enjoy that.
I do. This Felix looks
cool
more,
again.
Right, he's cool again. He looks more like a spy. He's in shape. He's not eating
He
chicken.
looks like a playboy himself.
He's not eating chicken outside of a KFC.
For 3 days.
For 3 days.
Jogging slowly around. Bond walks up to the shower and instantly blasts him with steaming hot water from the shower, sending him out screaming. They have some nice fucking showers in that hotel because mine always takes a second to warm up.
Better than nice. That water was instantly hot.
Steaming,
hot.
Yeah.
Steaming hot. Scalding hot to make him jump out of the shower like that. So, yeah, I wonder what kind of hotel that is.
A nice one. Bond beats and disarms the man. It's the guy that was following him around earlier, and his name is Quist and is played by Bill Cummings. Bond says, "Run off and report what you see here," including the 007 number that he punched Felix for almost saying and then set himself right in front of the man.
Yeah, if I were Felix, I'd be a little pissed off because that was the excuse that he's like, yeah, I had to punch you in the stomach, so you almost said 00.
You almost said 007, Felix, as he's lifting the dude and saying, "Come on."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like what?
Quist returns in a 1964 Triumph Herald 1200 to Largo's estate, Palmyra. When he arrives, Largo immediately realizes Bond's kicked his ass and has him thrown into a pool where he keeps man-eating golden grotto sharks.
Sweet
that
sharks.
Are the meanest, toughest sharks of bitches this side of Amity Beach.
Definitely. They're like piranha sharks.
These are actually tiger sharks, and tiger sharks are mean enough. I don't know why'd you have to lie about them, bro.
Golden grotto sharks.
To be fair, that Bay area they filmed at, was actually called Golden Grotto at the time, so I think that's just where they got the name. Bill Cummings demanded hazard pay to jump on the shark here. $450 extra bucks. Put that in your fucking calculator.
Really? That wasn't a fake shark he jumped on? It looked fake.
No, it definitely jumped on a real shark.
Awesome.
And then swam his ass out of frame as quick as he could.
Yes. Yeah.
All the sharks they used in this film are real.
And that's unfortunately because, man, sharkicide.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Bond and Paula meet up with Leiter and introduce him to Pender, played by Earl Cameron. Pender takes them to a safe house that MI6 has in Nassau, where Bond finds Q all dudded in his best I'm a white man in the Bahamas outfit.
I was like, yeah, it's the first QPS. First time we get to see Q in the field.
They're both thrilled to see each other, by the way. He's like, oh no. I love the early relationship between these two.
I do too. Q is so matter-of-fact, nonsensical, and dismissive of James Bond.
Does not have patience for him.
Q assumes that James Bond is the worst 00 agent in the office.
Well, just the most disrespectful.
Well, that would make him the worst, wouldn't it?
He gives Bond a watch with a Geiger counter on it. He asks for respect for his gadgets while giving him an underwater infrared camera. Bond responds that everything he's given is treated with equal contempt, I know. Q lashes. He's also given a distress beacon, a mini rebreather, and a flare gun. Now, the mini rebreather is so cool and counterintuitive. You see this thing with the small whippet canisters, and you think, wow, that would work. And so did the Royal Navy when they asked about it, only to sadly learn that the actors were holding their breath and, get this, acting. Because the canisters could only hold about max 4 minutes of air.
2 CO2 canisters glued together. They didn't work at all. The divers had to hold their breath.
I'll get like 10 breaths out of that if I'm lucky.
For a rebreather, you'd have to use a separate bag and everything, and it'd be a much bigger device. You get any kind of real use out of it.
Bond, again, almost sets off a gadget while playing with the mini flare gun. Some things never change.
I love how he just jumps on him, too. Like, the moment he picks up the flare gun, he's like, give me that before you fucking burn us all to the ground.
Transition back to Whitehall, where they listen to Blofeld's next announcement. He demands the $100 million be paid in flawless diamonds in a container on the coast of Indonesia. A wipe transition later, and Bond attempts to scuba dive under Largo's boat, but a scuba guard spots him immediately. Scuba Steve tries to spear Sean down by the seashore.
Nice. Good job.
Thank you. An alarm is triggered, and the two main henchmen, Vargas and Yanni, played by Philip Locke and Michael Brennan respectively, rush up to check as Largo says, "Get the underwater lights on." Now, we've seen these guys a lot, actually, throughout this point in the film, but this is really, like, the first time they've really done anything worth, like, bringing them up over, other than, like, point at things and be, like, micromanagers.
Right.
Bond fights Scuba Steve over a knife, and Largo gets a black and white feed of the dailies. You like that?
Yes, I do. I do like that. I just marvel at the technology that they had at the time with the underwater cameras and everything.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing, actually.
It was.
Yeah, I know. It was so perfectly blocked. It was just well placed.
Well placed. The perfect camera angle.
By pure luck. Scuba Steve loses his mask, air, and knife, causing him to retreat. In response, Largo has Vargas drop hand grenades overboard. Bond swims away, and they give chase in a small prop boat. Bond goes underwater as they speed over him, hitting his tank and snorkel with the propeller. Bond ditches the gear, and the goons think they've killed him on accident and go to confidently report that without checking for anything else.
Right. No body, no blood. Oh, we got his equipment, which he could have easily ditched, but, we're not even going to look at that.
I think he's dead.
He might be dead.
This is like crystal clear blue water, and I didn't see any blood, but he's dead. Bond gets back to dry land and hitchhikes for a ride. A 1965 Ford Mustang ragtop pulls up with Fiona Volpe as the driver. He notices her Spectre ring, as it's the size of an orange.
Like, I'm in a secret society, but I wear a piece of jewelry from the secret society that takes up most of my hand. And coincidentally, the other guy who's also a villain, he wears a similar piece of jewelry. And it's amazing that they match so exactly because we're in the same secret society.
We're in the same secret society. He caught us. Don't talk about Fight Club.
Don't talk about Fight Club. I hit you with my ring.
Bond asks if she flies here often, and at least this time, they're actually doing 90. The last time the speedometer said 55, and Dr. No, look out.
Right?
She barrels past 100 miles per hour and whips into the hotel lot. Obviously, they both share the same hotel. Bond instead goes to the spot with Pender and lighter to develop the photos he took of the Disco Volante. The hull has a trap door, and that's how they got the bombs on board without anyone seeing them leave or re-enter the boat. And Bond wants to go find the plane underwater near the yacht with Felix, and Paula says she'll drop the prints at the hotel room when they're dry. Honestly, almost, not all, but almost every transition is either a hard cut or a right to left wipe. Throw in a couple of fades and that's it. So forgive me if this one review I quit calling out all the transitions or I've left a few out. It's because there's so many hard cuts in this compared to the other films. It's kind of nuts. It's almost like transition. Oh yeah, there wasn't one. It was a cut.
Yeah.
Which is a transition. It's the most basic. Bond and Felix fail to find the plane and start to realize that the ship must have gone further and faster to get to it than they thought it could do. So they decide to get more gas and come back out later to look further out. Fiona makes a good point to Largo later on, saying that if his goons had actually killed him with their prop, the British government would know the bombs were there, and that Bond will die when she kills him. It's not like Bond could have had a heart attack or hit by a car on accident.
Right.
They don't automatically assume anything, lady.
Although, Bond did make some automatic assumptions in this movie as well. I guess they're British. Maybe they do automatically assume things.
Bond does. He's Scottish. Bond spies from the helicopter with Felix over Largo's place as they make their way back, seeing the sharks Largo owns in his family pool. Then Bond heads over to Palmyra and helps Domino out of the non-shark infested pool. Largo comes up with the shotgun Fiona was just shooting Skeet with, and Bond points out that it's better suited for a woman. Largo asks if he knows much about guns, and Bond says no, but I know a lot about women.
That was a good one, because that's true.
I'm just going to say real quick, Jimmy, knowing a bunch about women carnally doesn't mean you know a lot about women.
Right.
Rapist.
Serial rapist.
No, knowing what a lot of women's vaginas feel like doesn't mean you know a lot about women.
You don't know everything, homie.
Bond is invited to skeet shoot and feigns novicedom before hip-firing the saucer out of the sky while barely looking. Not the last time we'll see this power flex by Bond in this series. Largo invites Bond to again try and steal his woman by taking Domino to the Junkanoo celebration, an islander Mardi Gras of sorts done on Boxing Day. Back at the hotel, Paula is abducted by Fiona, Vargas, and Yanni for questioning. That night, Bond is at the Junkanoo with Domino, asking when Largo will be there. He sees Felix on the street and goes with him to meet with Pender about the plans of the Palmyra. We fade to the Palmyra where Bond, in tactical black, sneaks around, taking out guards and knocking out the power. Largo switches to emergency generators. Bond hears that Paula has bitten her cyanide capsule before seeing her dead.
That felt like a whole response for Bond. I mean, the setup, they get Bond out of the hotel, they kidnap Paula, he finds out about it, he dresses in tactical black, goes to rescue Paula, and, well, Paula's dead.
Bond starts a firefight with the goons and gets them to crossfire in the dark at each other. Bond gets tackled into a pool by a goon, and as they fight, Largo shuts the pool cover and releases his sharks. Bond stabs the goon who bleeds and attracts the shark, while Bond swims out the way they came, looking terrified as hell in a few shots with a shark very close to him in frame. He exits the other side of the trapdoor into the other shark pool and exits the pool as a shark zooms up to him. Bond tells him, better luck next time.
Sean Connery was deathly afraid of these sharks.
Sean didn't want to get in the pool with the sharks, surprise, surprise, so Ken Adams rigged up the old faithful plexiglass, like he did with the spider, but didn't have enough this time, so he left out a 4-foot patch and didn't tell Sean. And of course the sharks went right through it to him.
That spot where he looked really terrified and he's kind of trying to get away.
It's because he was.
It's because he was. For real.
Causing him to freak the fuck out and leap out of the pool. For the other part, when he came out the other side of the pool and the shark was chasing him, John Steers was trying to rig up what he thought was a dead shark on a line to pull it towards him for that shot, chasing Connery out of the pool. That shark turned out to be alive, and it regained consciousness and fought another shark to the death, while Steers sat there going, oh my fucking god, get me out of here. No word on the winner.
Wow, that's crazy. Playing with real sharks, this is what happens when you play with real sharks back in the day. People get ate. That's how sharks got a bad reputation. But, sharks are really docile. They're not as dangerous as people make them out to be.
Yeah, okay. As they eat each other constantly in filming this. Bond returns to his hotel. He goes into Paula's room and finds Fiona's bags about, and her in the bath. Aren't you going to give me something to wear? She asks him, as he hands her a pair of shoes.
Cold-blooded.
They bang, and she gets bitey. As they prepare to leave for the local Junkanoo celebration, Vargas and Yanni enter and restrain Bond. Fiona disarms him, and they have a back and forth. He says he only slept with her for king and country, and she says, yes, James Bond, who only has to sleep with a woman once and she hears heavenly choirs singing. She repents and returns to the side of virtue, but not this one. This line was actually lifted almost directly from a critique of Goldfinger that they threw into this film.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Because it was a nice line for a powerful, strong woman. For once, it's like, oh, yeah, your dick ain't magic, homie. Sorry.
Yeah, it shows you how ridiculous that other people thought Pussy Galore's leap was as well at the time.
Right?
They all drive off in a 1965 Ford Country sedan, but are stalled by the parade. The ghost of Quarrel pops up for some reason to offer them a drink, conveniently sticking his liquor bottle into the car as Fiona lights a cigarette. Bond tips the liquor and shoves Fiona's lighter hand into the liquid, somehow causing a small gunpowder charge to go off.
Flash fire! Flash fire! It was real Bacardi. I looked at the bottle.
It was real Bacardi.
It was Bacardi Silver, which is not flammable. Had it been 151, that shit would have caught fire. But it was Bacardi Silver. Special effects. That was an interesting one. I guess they couldn't get any other kind of fire to happen other than a small explosion. I never knew alcohol exploded like that, and I will be very cautious.
Well, I mean, it can.
I will be
under the right pressure.
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean, not like that.
Not like that, though. That was a lot of smoke.
On the car seat.
On the car seat. There's a lot of smoke, too.
Yeah, it was gunpowder charge.
Yeah.
As the car burns, Bond escapes through the parade and enters the Kiss Kiss Club. Somehow, he's been bleeding on his leg badly, and they follow his blood.
He got shot. That's not somehow. He was grazed.
Where? When?
Right when he jumped out of the car, one of the guys shot at him. The bullet...
Well, kudos for you seeing that, because I rewound it and didn't see that.
He got grazed right in the ankle as he was running away, and they managed to follow the blood trail.
Kudos. Bond sees the goons closing in and grabs a random woman, takes her drink, and leads her onto the dance floor. Fiona asks to cut in, and Bond dances with Fiona. A goon shoots at Bond from behind a curtain, and Bond knows exactly when and where to move Fiona to have her meat shield him.
Right.
He drops her at a table saying that she was sitting this one out as she was just dead.
Yes, that was a good one too. I like how the bullet just magically slid between the gap in his fingers so he could cover up the bullet wound.
Well, it's so he could smash the packet.
Right.
The ketchup packet from McDonald's.
Right.
And since I took it out of the From Russia with Love episode, I do want to point out that it's very reminiscent of when Ali Karim Bey crushed a McDonald's ketchup packet on the arm of his own suit when he got shot in the arm.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Hugh brought that up in From Russia with Love, and it was cut for time, so.
Oh, well, I did.
Let's bring it back up here since it relates.
It does kind of relate.
Back at Whitehall, the Prime Minister, played by Roland Culver, by the way, again does his part of reading out the minutes of the plot's ticking clock to M and anyone that paid money to listen, really. That's you guys.
Yeah.
Bond meets up with Leiter, and the two search by helicopter for the Vulcan jet, finding it underwater near the Golden Grotto, a real reef known for its tiger sharks that's actually since been renamed Thunderball Bay.
That's awesome. I didn't know they named it after the movie.
They did.
That's
true
cool.
Story.
Thunderball Bay is dope.
Where you're seeing right now is a real place that's been since renamed Thunderball Bay.
In Nassau.
Felix shoots a shark to occupy the others, and I have no idea how they got away with that. And they really did it.
There was a time when sharks were not an endangered species. So, there was a period in time where people were just able to kill fish, Matthew. And sharks were just fish.
Plus the shark fight earlier and later on in the film, sharks swimming with actors by piercing guide wires through the sharks' fins to keep them where they wanted. So don't say those sharks were hurt during the filming of this movie at the end.
No.
PETA's pissed.
They didn't, and PETA wasn't around, so...
Fuckers.
Thunderball is probably one of the reasons PETA exists.
I think that ZZ Top video where the chickens got dragged by wires from the truck is the reason PETA exists.
There was a movie with horses, too, that a bunch of them died. I can't remember.
All the time back in the day.
Yeah.
Bond swims down for the jet. He finds Angelo's body in remarkable condition and takes Derval's dog tags and watch. He then swims back up to Felix and the chopper. The whole time, sharks were constantly around him, so I'm glad he got that leg wound sorted.
Right.
Waterproof Band-Aid from Q Branch.
It must be. Super secret scuba suit.
Yeah, well, he's wearing shorts.
I know, he's wearing shorts.
It's the Emperor's scuba suit.
Right.
Bond meets up with Domino scuba diving, and they go behind some rocks to purge air from their tanks. And bang.
And bang. underwater, which is very dangerous.
She's fine. She might want to check her pH. Back on the beach, he removes a sea urchin spine from her foot after kissing her. Bond tells her that Largo killed her brother, showing her the tags and watch. Connery's scenes are definitely shot on that beach, but she must have needed reshoots, and with this team, you know what that means. Compositing.
Yeah, because she was totally composited on all of the scenes that
Go
were...
back to the same beach for reshoots?
Right.
I've got a blue curtain in my office.
Exactly.
Vargas spots them as Bond asks her for help finding the bombs. Bond gives her his underwater infrared camera, which is also now a Geiger counter, according to him. It shoots in infrared, and that's all Q ever said about it.
Really? He never said it was like
Now,
also a Geiger counter?
Now Bond, he said his watch was. And now Bond is telling her that this infrared underwater camera is also now a Geiger counter. Bond pulled that out of his ass, and it is, and it does, and it works for her, but that conveniently got left out. They're just making it up as they go along.
Okay.
So Bond asks her to look for the bombs on Largo's ship. She informs him that Vargas is behind him, and one of the coolest moments ever happens. Before weighing any other option, Bond just straight shoots him with a harpoon gun. I think he got the point.
Best one of the movie. I think he...
I'm glad you agree. That was my favorite.
Yeah, that was the best one of the movie.
We finally agree on a one-liner. It only took 4 movies. She promises to help for her brother, but only if he kills Largo. And she tells him of an island near Palmyra, and by the docks, he goes and sees Largo's goons kitted in scuba gear. He swallows the tracker Q gave him and disguises himself as a scuba largoon.
A scuba largoon.
It's a Largo goon.
Yeah, Largo goon. I got it.
After taking out one of the largoons with wild motions that no one saw, including the dude right next to him.
Right. Everybody was conveniently facing Largo. And like, it's super tunnel vision just because they're wearing masks.
No, they weren't even in masks. It's when they were putting all the stuff on after he's...
right. And nobody just happened to glance over at Steve over there at the end. Just
no one looked at Steve, who was flailing wildly.
Steve was okay or anything. And Steve never made a grunt or or, you know.
No, Steve was just like, I'm cool.
Never made a sound as James Bond rolled him through the dirt. Literally rolled him through the dirt.
They swim aboard the Disco Volante via the moon pool trapdoor. Bond does his famous awkward masked goon impression while Largo explains the plan to head to Miami Beach with the bombs. The ship embarks. They get to the small island Domino talked about, and we see the Stingray sub again as they swim underwater to the island.
This is getting up to being my favorite part of this whole movie.
A trap door in the rocks leads to a crank that opens a trap door in the rocks that the sub goes through. Inside are the 2 bombs and a heavy brass section.
The amount of money to have an underwater base, to have a trap door on the bottom of your boat, all of these submersibles, and you're only asking for 100 million pounds? Like, his boat alone was $500,000 back in the day.
He probably already had that boat. Like, it could be his Pablo Escobar smuggling boat. And the same could be for that cave that he put a door in front of.
Yeah.
This could be already things that he uses for smuggling.
Okay.
And probably why they used him in this plan even. There's answers for that.
Okay.
That's not for me. That's not a big thing. They load the bombs onto the sub, but Largo makes Bond after giving too long to look through his mask. At every point, all jokes aside, they've made Largo seem incredibly clever. He's not a stupid man and often stops his goons for falling for Bond's tricks. He's not even a fool about Domino. He was hip to Bond the second he walked into that casino. I just was cracking on him the whole time.
He was. He knew exactly who James Bond was.
Mm-hmm.
He always has. Largo is a competent number 2, and that's why he's still alive. For now.
Bond cheeses it, and Largo sends a goon after him. Largo and co. cheeses it with the bombs and shuts the trap door. Bond dispatches the Largoon and super swims to the door, but is trapped in the underwater cave.
Super swims. Using those speed fins, yes.
That's Peter Hunt's swim coach.
Yes.
Domino tries to walk the ship with the super camera, and Largo discovers she's been given this little toy by Bond. He throws her into the cabin behind her and onto the bed, and shuts the door behind him as he enters after her. Meanwhile, Bond swims until he finds an air pocket. There's light coming in, but the hole is out of reach, and the ship is long gone now anyhow. He's stuck.
Yeah, but stuck for how long? I mean, he's James Bond. He's always got a solution.
He swallowed that tracker pill.
He did swallow that tracker pill, so he realizes that they will eventually come to look for him.
If Largo doesn't get away before they do.
If
There's a ticking clock thing.
there is a ticking clock thing.
Back again to Domino and Largo. She's tied up on the bed. He's got a cigarillo and some ice cubes, applied scientifically and slowly. Very, very slowly. He rips her dress off her shoulder. We cut the Coots walking up, and we hear her screaming. Coots looks shaken by this as he walks in, and Largo snaps, "What do you want? We're activating the bombs, and you said you want to be told." And Largo's all business after this, like, oh yeah, I knew that. Don't you worry. This is lovers BS here. It's nothing. She walked into a door.
She walked into a door. What kind of kinky BDSM shit was he about to perform on his girl?
But think about this for a second. With Coots being the guy that they have to put the fuses in and arm the bombs, and if he did say, "Let me know when they're activated," and set this nuclear physicist to the task, then why would his first response when he sees him again to be, "What do you want?" It should be really fucking obvious, but exposition gotta exposit, I guess.
Well, exposition gotta exposit, or he could have been in the heat of the moment and, like, did not want to be disturbed, and his first response was,
"What do you want?
What do you want?"
Yeah. But like, and that's totally what it was. But like, it should have been literally anyone else to walk in, because it's like there's only one reason this guy's gonna walk in, even if it is your moment, your Louisiana relationship moment.
Your Louisiana relationship moment. Chained to a porch, huh? Black Snake Moan shit.
Mm-hmm. I'm from Louisiana before anybody gets pissed. Largo tells Domino not to live in hope, as there is no one to rescue her in front of Coots. We then cut to Bond, waiting for Felix to track him with the capsule he ate. When the sound of the helicopter gets close enough, he fires the mini flare. You know, I'm going to say it, Q is God.
Yeah,
Major Boothroyd is fucking omnipotent, because that's the only explanation.
That's the only explanation. Like, once again, Bond uses every implement handed to him by Q.
It's not even that he just happens to use it. It's like, that's the shit that he happens to need.
Right.
Holy shit, Q is a Q. It all makes sense now.
Q is a Q. Quite possibly.
The U.S. Coast Guard chopper picks up Bond with a rescue harness, and Bond tells Felix that the target is Miami. The Largoons all come out in force with their different underwater vehicles and weapons, while moving one bomb and leaving the other on the Disco Volante. Meanwhile, Felix has had troops parachuted in to fight them.
What do bad guys have against Miami in the Bond universe? This is the second time Miami's been
Bath salts.
It could be.
Florida man.
Maybe they were trying to eliminate Florida Man before it became.
They're trying to get rid of Florida Man
before it became too prevalent.
He's too powerful. Before he was unstoppable, like he is now. And there's your climax. A bunch of scuba soldiers slowly swimming through the water with one-go spear guns. Do not miss, you only get one chance to blow. So it resorts to knives and grapples pretty quickly.
I love how it's all knives and grapples until our man gets on the scene.
Bond jumps in with a super water scooter on his back that busted out the antifreeze line, leaving a trail of green in his wake. Back at Atlantis, dudes are murdering each other all over the place.
Oh, it's stabby stab time underwater. I was going to say something about the super water scooter. The green smoke was supposed to be a smoke screen, but the production designer in his opulence decided that it would be more dramatic if it was just a jet trail behind James Bond instead of, a smoke screen for him to do his thing.
That's stupid. Both of them are stupid.
Yeah, both of them are pretty stupid. And then I love how he just jets through there and just grabs people's face masks off, and they're out of the fight. And they're out of the fight. They're just done. Face mask comes off, they're done. They're not like looking for a face mask, trying to find a different face mask or anything like that. Just, I'm done fighting. He ripped my face mask off. Ow. I got salt water in my eye. Ow.
Largo sees Bond whiz past and goes after him. Bond sees a Scuba Scott on his side with 2 Largoons against him and goes to help him, cutting the air tubes of both men just to turn and see the ally stabbed to death. Then, another ally in the same predicament, 2 Largoons about to fire on him, and Bond shoots a projectile out of his back scooter that causes the sheet of metal to fall on the guns, this time saving the ally.
Do you know how accurate you would have to be to shoot a spear aimed from your back to hit a chain to make a trapdoor fall? Bond is a weapons expert. That's all I'm saying. He's a weapons expert.
You know it. He is a weapons expert. He's a women expert. He is a paint body health expert, bomb expert. No, well, he is a gold expert. He knows brand. He doesn't know bombs, but he knows brandy, and he knows lectors and baccarat and literally fucking everything. So who cares? Bond swims into a sunken ship and ditches the scooter, donning the mini rebreather. The goons chasing him go into the same small sunken cabin that Bond had just swam out of when he drops an underwater grenade on them, blowing them to a watery hell. The fight continues. People die. Bond shoves the butt of a spear gun into a dude's eye. That was dope.
That was dope. And brutal. I wasn't expecting that.
But the editing is odd here. They want the audience to buy they're in the ocean, so they make sure to keep randomly cutting to sea animals, and then back to the fight. And then to a sea animal, and then back to the fight. Did you notice that? It's egregious it happens so much.
I did. I was like, I made a note about the random crab in the middle of the fight.
Bond punches someone, here's a lobster. Bond punches someone, here's a fish. Bond stabs someone with a harpoon, there's a fucking octopus.
They had to fill that space with something. Here you go. Here's some...
Also,
we were down there a long time. We've got a lot of shots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could have done it a lot differently. Also, sharks are coming because blood. And they fucking harpoon at least one more shark here.
Oh, man. At least one more shark dies. I'm pretty sure more than one shark dies in the climax.
At least. Is my point there? They kill everyone and secure one bomb, but Largo escapes to his ship, which has the other one. They get the ship moving, but Bond is holding on to the hull. Meanwhile, Felix has gotten a small naval armada to chase down the Disco Volante, firing upon it when close enough.
I love the fact that Bond is holding on to his ship, and it's obviously a hydrofoil plane that he's holding on to, if you know anything about ships. Thinking that's going to be a good idea once this thing gets up to juice enough to come out of the water.
Largo jettisons the rear of the ship, allowing the front section to move much faster, and that's how it got farther faster. The yacht was a hydrofoil that they purchased, and then special designed a catamaran to link over it, giving the unique shape and famous detaching feature seen here.
That boat is awesome. It's also a recurring character in Bond movies.
The idiots abandoned in the catamaran just keep firing on the naval warships, ensuring their explosive demise.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, right? Like, why would you keep shooting at the Navy? They're obviously got you.
They have a lot of loyalty. They're like, go, boss, we'll save you. We'll hold him down.
We'll stop the Navy. In our ship that's not even moving. We got this.
Domino is saved by Coots, who didn't sign up for this shit, and not only saved her, but also threw the fuses into the sea. Bond climbs aboard and battles with Largo and a couple of goons, while Largo still tries to pilot the ship to his own safety. But then the best, dumbest thing happens. Some goon walks up, carrying a tray with a bottle of champagne, all in his own world. He never notices this huge fight on the bridge going on. He just gets taken out in the chaos. And it's so great.
It is pretty great. I did notice that. I was like, what? Who is that?
It's the
guy?
Best, dumbest thing.
I don't understand.
He's like, oh, did anybody want some champagne? Oh, God.
In the book, Thunderball, the reason why I guess our man sped it up so much is because the Disco Volante is supposed to do 50 knots, which is, a fair clip, like kind of close to 60 miles an hour. I guess that's why he sped it up so much.
No, he did it because he's Peter Hunt.
Yeah, well, that too.
That's his modus operandi. Don't fucking give him any credit.
I'm not really.
Also, when they show Largo and or Bond turning the wheel with a composited ocean in front of them, super sped up, you can see a couple of points they would crash into rocks with no time to react at their angle and speed in the composite.
No time to react. I'm like, man, this boat is making impossible turns at impossible G's, and nobody is getting slung around in this cabin like a... Physics be damned!
And still the fight goes on, with all the goons involved, and everything I said happened since it started. Finally, Largo pulls a gun. Largo is about to shoot Bond when Domino sneaks up from behind and shoots Largo with a harpoon, and the brass section approves. I'm glad I killed him, she says. You're glad, Bond says, as they see a reef coming. and Largo's fat ass has jammed the controls. Coots never learned to swim, so Bonds hands him the life preserver and Coots jumps, while, I shit you not, going, wee!
Did he say wee? I missed the wee.
Yes! No, sir, shit you not. I was like, what the fuck? Bond and Domino jump overboard. The boat runs aground on a reef and explodes, and I mean explodes. This was more than a petrol fireball. The boat goes bye-bye for real. A plane flies overhead, dropping a lifeboat for Bond and Domino, who swim over and onto it. Bond hooks himself up to a line attached to a balloon that he releases into the sky. And I hope after they cut away, but also before they started pulling him up, he got it out from around his arm.
Yeah, I hope so too, because it would have tore it completely off.
It would have torn that thing off. A skyhook-equipped U.S. Navy airplane grabs the line, whisking them up in what is an insane now, and had to be a spectacle then, rescue.
Yes, but Operation Skyhook definitely existed. I mean, they proved that in Batman.
Continuing the trend of Bond movies ending on or right next to the water, the end, roll credits. Like Dr. No, it does not say Bond will return here, believe it or not. The climax required more military hardware than some small invasions, so they turned again to Lieutenant General Charlie Rouchon to work his Fort Knox getting magic. He gets gadgets and military places, personnel, and equipment for many early Bond films. You gotta love powerful American fans. He also got the Skyhook rescue scene coordinated as well. Best of all, Rouchon gave John Steers some experimental U.S. military-grade rocket fuel explosives to blow up the Disco Volante with. Steers is used to petrol booms, Hollywood style. Lots of visual, but not really that big of a boom in terms of concussive force. Steers had no idea what he was in for.
I love how the way that this boat, as soon as it touched land, instantly exploded, but that's because they had to do it in a jump cut. On that note, they used so much of this shit that they blew out windows miles away. Not miles.
Yeah, that boat was in bits and pieces. It mythbustered.
30
30 miles away, they'd knocked out windows in Nassau, on the same streets that they were shooting the Junkanoo scenes in.
Was it 30 miles away?
Yeah, 30.
Wow.
It was 30. Apparently, they were lucky they were filming in a low-lying area to get that low-angled shot, or they might have destroyed their cameras or killed themselves.
Quite possibly.
I want to give Thunderball a solid B. I thought I was going to give this a lot worse before this rewatch. So much of this is underwater and slow. It's bloated, and the pacing can get boring. But it's not as bad as I remember, and there's a lot that they do right. Connery became annoyed with the press and was starting to become annoyed with the role, and he famously only gave one interview to Playboy and turned down many specials during this era of Bond promotion.
Well, he was also going through a divorce at this time as well, too, from his longtime wife, so...
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I feel as if that attitude came through on celluloid here, though. You know, excuses or not, professionalism. I can't take my life onto my job's floor.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't do the same.
That's true.
I definitely didn't feel the same performance as the last three films, and that's me being nice. To go from such nuance to such apathy was actually shocking to me. But other than that, the pacing is all that really stops this movie from being the one we remember most.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, this was one of the better James Bond movies. I'm going to also give it a good solid B. It was a pretty decent movie overall.
Solid B.
Yeah.
Can I mention that I read in an interview in 2002, Connery said From Russia with Love was his favorite film, not this one, as AMC erroneously reported in their Bond retrospective. We're better than AMC.
We're better than AMC.
Kill count. How many do you think Bond killed?
Bond killed in the 30s, at least.
20.
20?
Bond killed 20, 90 people died by other means for a grand total of a new high 110 deaths.
Ramping it up.
Each one. It's about to kind of simmer back down a little bit, though.
Yeah, I mean, you can only have so much spectacle before you gotta bring it down. You learn this when you do techno music a lot. You ramp it up, ramp it up, ramp it up, and then you
J.J. Abrams never learned this. He starts his trilogy with like a black hole that sucks up a planet. It's like, where do you go from there?
Well, that's J.J. Abrams.
Let's move on to the scorecards. Let's wrap this up, man. The pre-title. For me, it was okay. Equal parts exciting and cheesy, but the rocket pack was dope, and I'm actually going to give this one second place, because for me, this was better than From Russia with Love's pre-title, but not better than Goldfinger's.
I am going to give this a solid second place as well. Goldfinger is got the dopest pre-title so far.
How about the title and theme?
Title and theme. I'm going to give the title and theme. God, it's a real toss-up because the theme was good. It was Tom Jones. Man, it's a real close second to Goldfinger.
Nice. I love the title, and the theme by Tom Jones I love it too. It's great for me. The first completely realized Bond title sequence. It's artistic and properly themed. It works well, but not as smashing as Robert Brownjohn's job last time, believe it or not, and this again gets second place. How about your money penny pickup line? Let me actually go first here because I said it doesn't exist. But their playful banter is better than the government property line and that whole scene in Dr. No, devoid of charisma, so third spot for me.
Yeah, well, Dr. No, devoid of charisma. Yeah, it's got to be third spot because Dr. No was the worst.
It really was. How about Q gadgets?
Other than the switch on the DB7 were mostly mediocre and very practical. Nothing super fancy. The diving equipment, I guess you can count that because that rocket pack was a Q gadget.
I mean, the Navy wanted that rebreather.
Yeah, all of that was pretty dope. Overall, I think I might give this one the top spot for Q shit.
Yeah.
Just because it was the most practical stuff for the mission at hand. You know, nothing too flashy.
I wrote there's mini rebreathers and flares and homers and Geiger watches and super cameras that do everything and make hot pockets where the center is just as warm as the edges. Everything Bond will need, and of course, nothing he doesn't. I love the mini rebreather. It had me fooled as a kid. They added gadgets to the DB5, so I'm giving the top spot to this movie for Q gadgets. How about cars?
Cars? All the cars in this, even the hearses and like the little sidecars, every car looked fucking brand new.
Specifically the car he drives is what this is about.
Oh, the DB5?
Yeah, we allowed the Bentley, even though it was set dressing, because it was his car.
Right. Isn't that the only car he drives in this is the DB?
Mm-hmm.
It's the DB5. It's iconic. It's got water jets this time instead of a smoke screen, which is an interesting thing, but physically I was just wondering where they were keeping all that water. It's a really small car. It's not that big.
That's a really big tank.
Yeah. There's a lot of water. But, you know, other than that, yeah, the DB5 is still the iconic car.
Yeah, but this version compared to Goldfinger's version.
No, Goldfinger's version had everything, so.
So what, you think this is like your second spot?
Number 2, yeah. Yeah.
I wrote the DB5 is beat up, bullet ridden, and dirty throughout the movie. Nothing else he drives is better. Third spot.
Third spot.
For me. You got second.
Second spot, yeah. It's second spot for me.
I'm giving the clean Bentley over the beat up DB5.
Oh, okay. All right. He doesn't really drive the Bentley, though. Anyway.
Still, he owns it. It's his, so I'm counting it.
Okay, fair.
Main ally. Felix Leiter is hip, fast, and wearing his sunglasses at night. Bond says shit's going down, and Felix gets scuba troops parachuting in, and the whole damned Navy. And he can take a punch while still making jokes. This is going to sound like blasphemy, but top spot. I'm sorry, Karim.
No, but second. Nobody's going to beat Karim in my eyes. Ali Karim
This guy got the entire U.S. Navy.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He was one hell of an ally.
Yes, he did, but he didn't have a family of operatives.
That's fair. No, okay, that's a good point.
But, that being said, this is the best Felix Leiter so far.
So far.
He even had a one-liner. I mean, like, this Felix was dope.
So is this...
he's number 2.
Your second?
Second, yes, number 2.
How about villains? Emilio Largo is your villain here.
He's my number 1 villain so far. I liked him better than Goldfinger.
Dang, you liked him better than your hidden Blofeld? Your Kleb and Kronstein combo?
Hidden Blofeld?
Played by Professor Dent.
Hidden Blofeld will always be the number 1 villain, because he's in charge.
You're letting your idea of a good screen villain be tainted
Yes, I know.
by corporate hierarchy.
By corporate hierarchy. But that being said, Largo was a great villain. He was better than Goldfinger. That's for smoking sure.
Huh. So you got your top spot here. So for me, I wrote, he is big, but not larger than life. He's realistic, but genius. He's calculating, but human. But most importantly, he is almost always one step behind Bond in this movie. Third spot for me.
Third spot. Yeah. He is always one step behind, but seemed to be the smartest one so far.
He seems like it. And he doesn't fall for stupid things.
He doesn't fall for stupid things. No.
But he is always one step behind Bond, and where I've gotten very used to the last two movies of them always being one step ahead of him.
That's true.
So that's immediately put him in a third spot for me. Main hench, Vargas and Yanni. They were the team leads of the goons. That odd step in between regular goon and lower management. So for me, third spot.
Third spot for me as well.
The only people they've beat is Professor Dent so far.
Right, because he wasn't a goon. He was just
he was just nothing. And well, that's what these guys were like. They literally stood in the back and pointed half the time. Like, you guys move that box.
Yeah.
Blonde girl, Domino.
Oh, Domino. I like me some Domino. I do. I like me some Domino a little bit more than Pussy Galore because her motivations were a lot more understandable.
Nice. So where does that put her on your list?
I think I'm gonna move Domino into number 1.
Number 1. We have a new number 1, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Domino Derval. I wrote, Domino does literally not one damn thing this whole movie, but hang around here and there while stuff happens and people talk to her. But, and this is a big but, she shoots Largo with a spear gun. So she still gets the third spot over Honey Rider for me. This is where these lists start diverging. How about one-liner?
Got the point? Yeah, that's the one.
I wrote, I think he got the point. It was just like any other cheesy one-liner, but maybe it's the moment it attached to, but I'm just like, damn, that's number 1 for me. That's my number 1 one-liner so far. Not just of this movie, of the whole list.
Of the whole thing, of the whole list, huh?
Where's that one-liner go for you?
I might put this one at number 2. What did I have last time? Goldfinger?
Yeah, for Goldfinger, you had maternal instincts. Coated them walls.
Yeah, coated them walls. Yeah, that's still going to be my number 1, because that's still a good one.
That's fair. How about locations? And you know how it goes. I list out the locations for you. Paris and Nassau.
I liked these locations, but I like Miami a lot better. Because Miami seemed more like a party. This might be my number 2 because it was gorgeous and all underwater. So, yeah, my number 2.
Number 2. I wrote, I'm giving this one the second spot. Not much time in Paris, but a lot of time back in the Caribbean, and this time they show off great locations and culture in the Caribbean. And they were actually there again. Projected attempt to kill Bond. Sharks in a pool. Third spot for me.
Got the laser. What was your second spot?
All of From Russia with Love.
All of From Russia with Love.
It's Grant. Yeah, he's in Grant's hands the whole fucking time.
I'm gonna put this in my number 2 because
number 2.
It's like the only thing we didn't have is laser beams. We got laser beams in the first movie. We got sharks in this movie. If we had sharks with laser beams, I think that would be number 1.
Oh my god, the Austin Powers references never end. How about the mission, which is, once again, I'll break down for you. Find 2 broken arrows and stop Spectre from either using them or even forcing their ransom to save thousands of lives and the future of American society as we know it.
So far, the most plausible mission of a James Bond movie that we've watched. I'm going to give this plot, the overall mission, I'm going to give it the top spot. Irradiating gold, plausible, but risky. So yeah, Thunderball's moving in number 1.
He said first place. I said third place. Bomb to crash American economy completely was smarter than we blow up Miami for diamonds, in my opinion.
Uh, uh, yeah, but this is more plausible. We blow up Miami for diamonds.
You know, dude, if we blow up Miami, we threaten Miami for a couple $1 million, or we completely tank America's economy with the same one bomb forever. Stunts.
This one is going to go in the number 1 spot for stunts because
Damn.
of all of the underwater action. The difficulty it takes to pull all of that stuff off is not unimpressive to me. So
That's crazy. I know,
Yeah.
it's nuts.
yeah, I'm gonna put this one in the number 1 spot because the stunt work on this was the underwater stunt work on this was fabulous.
Bob Simmons, I can't believe I'm saying this. I truly can't, but top spot, you son of a bitch, you did it. Great fights, explosions, everything was amped up to the max, and we saw them go harder than they have yet stunt-wise. Not even counting the accidents that they're prone to have, of course.
Not even counting the accidents that they're prone to have. Which I didn't really notice any of this one. Hard to tell.
Yeah, not many were reported this time. How about the score?
I'm gonna put the score probably in 3. It was a pretty solid, typical score. It didn't dazzle me.
It feels like we had very similar feelings on this. I said it was okay. It wasn't bad, but it feels like Barry has gotten comfortable with these Bond scores. And this one sounded like a Bond score, but almost more generic than the last two. So I said third spot.
Yeah.
How about the movie
The movie
itself? The movie itself.
Thunderball.
Thunderball.
Mm,
And you have Goldfinger for your first.
I do. I know. And From Russia with Love is my second.
Yeah, I'm the other way around. Where would you put Thunderball in this list? It's better than Dr. No.
Definitely better than Dr. No. Is it better than Russia with Love? For me, it is better than From Russia with Love. It's a more fun ride. I'm giving it number 2. I am. Yep, I'm giving Thunderball the number 2 spot. The number 2 go ahead. It did not dazzle like Goldfinger. Goldfinger shiny like gold. Thunderball was just an underwater action epic, which I have to give it. I mean, From Russia with Love, technically a beautiful movie. It just kind of slow.
You thought that movie was slow and this one wasn't? Wow. Because I feel like that movie was tight compared to this. Dude, that's what I was telling my girlfriend sucked about this is 25% of it's underwater. I was like, this script is so short because it takes 10 minutes for him to swim from one side of the frame to the other. I don't have to describe that. I'm just like, he swam. That was 10 minutes. Like, that was this movie. I totally disagree with you. Completely on the opposite side, disagree with you. All in all, it was fun, but it was boring. It had crazy stunts and cold moments, and it had cheesy ones and lame stuff too. But I'm standing by my assessment that this film would have been better. It would have been the Connery masterpiece if it were trimmed down and paced better. So I'm going to say number 3 for me so far. And as they said, Bond will return for, oh yeah, they didn't. But they will, and so will we. So, until then.
I'm Chris Carter.
And I'm Agent Sedgwick.
Stay spying, y'all.